Good morning all. I think you can see my screen. Today, let's understand Hybris 6.2 installation. Okay, Hybris 6.2 is the latest version, and for installing Hybris 6.2, we have several steps. Let's understand the steps one by one. Okay, first of all, you need to understand one point. For demonstration purpose or development purpose, Hybris will be installed locally. But for production purpose, you may need to have distributed system setup. Okay. Next, let's understand the system requirements. Coming to the CPU, minimum requirement of CPU or processor is i5, but recommended is i7. Now RAM, minimum RAM is 8 GB, but recommended is 16 GB. Hard disk, minimum is 10 GB, but recommended is 20 GB. If you have a production environment, minimum hard disk is 40 GB, but recommended is more than 40 GB. These are the system requirements. Once you have the system requirements, you need to download the Hybris 6.2 version. You need to download the Hybris 6.2 version. It is a zip file. The size of the zip file is around 2 GB. Please remember this point. When you download and if you see less than 2 GB, say 1.2 GB, something like that, that means download is failure. The size should be close to 2 GB. It's like 1.9 something, but it's near to 2 GB. And it's a zip file. So you can download the Hybris 6.2 from support.sap.com, and here you have software downloads. Click on this one. It is going to ask you the S user, enter the details, then search for the Hybris 6.2, then download it. Or you can go to the help.hybris.com, then you have a download, click on this, then again it will ask the S user ID, all these things, enter those, then you can download it. Or you can go to the wiki.hybris.com, click on download, again it is going to ask the S user ID, enter it and download it. So this is how you will be getting it. Okay, so here you can search for the Hybris 6.2, then download whatever you want. Once you downloaded, this is how you can see the software. If you see the size of this 6.2 version, it's like 1.978. That means it's close to 2 GB. So this is a zip file. You need to unzip this. For unzip this, you can use softwares like 7-zip or unzip, whatever you want. Okay. If you don't have the softwares, you can also use jar command. If you don't have the softwares, you can also use jar command. Jar -xvf, then file name. Okay, so this works in the only Windows. This command works only in Windows, not in Linux. Okay, once you unzip this, this is how you will have the software. So if you see here, this is the Hybris. This is the Hybris. Okay, like that you can download it and unzip that. That's it. Okay, next step 3. Once you have Hybris downloaded and unzip, you remember one point: when you unzip this, make sure your folder should not contain any spaces. If you have spaces in the folder name, let's say this is the example. So here, what is the folder name? Hybris Commerce 6.2 is the folder name. Let's say you have given the folder name as Hybris space Commerce space 6.2. Then you will have build failures. Don't have the spaces in the path. That's the mandatory. Okay. Next, coming to here. So you need to have Java 8 software. So download the Java 8 software from the Oracle site. If you look at here, I just already given the URLs because it's going to be late for me to search all these things. Even Hybris I already downloaded. Java 8 also I already downloaded. Okay, so you can go ahead and download based on your platform. If it is Windows, if it is Windows 32-bit, 68-bit, 64-bit, whatever you want, you can download it. Once you download, you need to do two things. You need to set the Java home and you need to set the path. I think everyone knows how to set the Java home and path. Go to My Computer, Properties, Advanced Settings, Environment Variables. Then you need to set the Java path. This is the Java path. And inside the path, you need to add that. So this is the path. If you look at here, inside the path variable, you need to add the Java home. Look at here. This is the thing you need to add. That's it. That is what I specified in the step 3. Okay, let me close this. Okay, so now my Hybris is ready. My Java version is ready. And I set the path, everything. Next thing, install the Hybris using installer recipes. What is the meaning of recipe? Hybris is e-commerce. There are different e-commerce like B2C e-commerce, B2B e-commerce, telco e-commerce, like that. Each e-commerce is called a recipe. So if you see here, B2B underscore ACC, that means this is a B2B e-commerce recipe. B2C underscore ACC, that means it is B2C e-commerce recipe. Now you need to install what you required. If you want to B2B e-commerce, then go ahead and install this. If you want to B2C, go ahead and install this. To install this, we are going to use a command called installer. We are going to use a command called installer. Please remember this. This installer recipes we will be doing for demo purpose or development purpose only. We will not do in the production system. Okay, this recipes concept is available from Hybris 5.5 version. Now we are Hybris 6.2 version. Okay, as I said, to install the recipes, we are going to use installer. Now the question is, what installer do? Now the question is, what installer do? It's an automated script that take care of 4 things. First one is, it creates a directory, it moves some files, update configuration and properties, and fourth one is system initialization. These are the 4 things installer will do. Okay, I'll show you what is the meaning of creation of directory, moving the files, all these things after a few minutes. Okay, now next, so if you see here, there are different recipes, B2B recipe, B2C recipe, like that. How do I know the names of those? Where can I find the names of the recipes? If you want to find the names of the recipes, go to Hybris. Okay, so there is something, okay, this is what my Hybris. Go to installer, then recipes. See, these are the recipes. Go to installer, then recipes. Let me have like this so that you can see everything. Okay, so these are the different recipes available. Next question. Let me close this. Next question. That is how you can see the recipes names. Next, how do I know more about recipes installation? So if you want to know more about recipes installation, go to the installer, Hybris installer, then there is readme. Open this. So here they talk about how you can install the recipes. So installer, sh, like that, they have different steps. If you want to understand, you can understand it. Okay, next thing. Okay, if you see here, B2B is what? One kind of recipe. Recipe contains set of extensions. What is the meaning of extension? In Java, if you want to do something, then you will create a project. In Hybris, if you want to do something, you are going to create an extension. Please remember this conclusion. In Java or .NET, if you want to do something, you are going to create a project. In Hybris, if you want to do something, then you are going to create an extension. So therefore, this recipe contains set of extensions. So what extensions comes with the recipe? How do I know? Recipe contains set of extensions. I want to know what kind of extensions are coming with this recipe. So if you want to know, go to the recipe. Let's say I want to know what B2C e-commerce accelerator or recipe contains. Okay, double click on this. Then there is a bundle. Open that. See, these are the extensions comes when you install B2C accelerator or B2C recipe. These are the extensions comes when you install B2C recipe. Okay, that's about that one. Next, please remember this. Please see this. Okay, let me go to the Hybris folder. So if you see Hybris folder, this is what I have. Let me take the print screen of this so that you will understand more. Let me put it here. This is what the folder structure before install recipe. Before install recipe. So before install recipe, what is there inside the Hybris? Only bin folder is there. Okay. Now let me go. Okay. Now I want to install B2C recipe and B2B recipe. Okay. So for installation, you have three ways. First one is you can just install it. If you want to just install it, this is the command. You can initialize the recipe. If you want to initialize the recipe, then this is the command. You can start the recipe. If you want to start the recipe, then this is the command. Right now, I want to just install the recipe. So therefore, I will go with this. So what is the path? You need to go to Hybris, not Hybris, sorry, installer, recipes, then go here, type command. So what is the command I need to use? Install. So you can copy this one if you want. Install.bat is the command. Copy this and paste it here. So now I am installing B2C accelerator or B2C recipe. Hit enter. So installer.bat is not found. Okay, so let me go and see. So install the installer. One second. Oh, we are inside the folder. You need to come back one folder above, before. Now, because it is up to installer, we were on recipes. Don't go to the recipes. You should be in installer. So if you see the path, C:software, Hybris commerce installer, then this one. Hit enter. Now it is going to install the B2C recipe. So it's going to take around 1 minute. You can see. And you can also observe here one thing. Go to the Hybris. See, before I start installer or before I start recipe, I was having only one folder. Now how many folders are there? 5 folders are created. If you look at here, let me put it here. Okay, this is after. This is after installer. After install recipe. That means what? After install recipe, how many folders are created? 5 folders are created. Okay, 5 folders are created. What are the folders? Config, data, log, roles, temp. Let me see. Yeah, installation is completed. Now I want to install one more thing, B2B. I want to install one more thing, B2B. Hit enter. So now I am installing business to business or accelerator or business to business recipe. Okay. Now if you look at come back to here. So that's what I said. Go to here and see you have how many folders? 5 folders are created. That's what, if you see that what installer do. The first thing is that it is going to create a directories. You see, it is created the directories. Second thing, it moves some of the files. So if you look at here inside the config, there are some files. So extension files, all these things. That is what the meaning. Next, update configure the property files. Let me see. Yeah, it is still doing. Let that do. So update configuration and property files. If you look at here, this is a property file. You see some of the entries are there inside. It is updating it. Now go here, properties file. This is a property file. Go and open this. You see, it's a XML file, configuration file. So here it updated the entries. That is what the installer is doing. So what installer do? It creates the directories, move the files, update the configuration, property files, and it will do some system initializations. Some of the interviewers are asking, please remember that what installer do? Installer will take care of all those things. Okay. So after installation, you have 5 folders created. Okay, these are the 5 folders. Okay, so if you look at here in the Hybris, you have bin. Bin contains all the accelerators or extensions. Bin contains all the accelerators or extensions. Next, what log contains? Log contains, here is a folder called log. It just contains the server log or JDBC log. Next, you have a temp folder. So it contains temporary junk files. Next, you have data. So it contains HSQLDB. Hybris comes with a default DB called HSQLDB. It contains the data about the HSQLDB. It contains the schema. Okay, I will show you after a few minutes. Next, you also have the config. This is the important one. Config contains the some of the property files and configuration files. If you see, this is the property file. If you see, this is a configuration file. Okay, so if you see bin, inside the bin you have something called a platform. Sorry, inside the bin you have something called a platform. In the platform you have project.properties. So instead of you do the changes here, you do the changes in the local.properties here. Okay, the same way there is a story for that. So I am not going to discuss that one right now. The same way you have something called extensions configuration file. So instead of you do the changes, you do the changes in the config local extensions. So that means instead of directly modifying it in the platform, you are going to modify the things in the config. Config is just for you. You do whatever you want. If you are sure what you are doing, then only go and do in the platform. Else you do it in the config. Please remember this point. If you are sure what you are doing, then do the changes in the platform. That means here. Else you can simply do in the configuration. So you have a local.properties, you have a local extensions.configuration file. Those are the important files you need to do the changes. Okay, so that's all about the recipes. Now next, the next step is customizing the accelerator or extensions. If you look at here, so let me open the local extensions. If you look at here, there are, so if you see what are the recipes we installed? We installed B2B recipe and B2C recipe. Okay, we installed B2C recipe. Now, it is coming with a lot of extensions. If I don't want certain extensions, you can remove it. If I want to add more extensions, you can do it right now. You can do it right now. Or in other words, let's say you want to do some customizations. I think this is the best answer for this. Let's say you want to do some customizations. You have a B2C accelerator. On top of that, you want to do customizations. Then you have two tools called ModuleGen and EXTGen. Sorry, ModuleGen and EXTGen. We will talk about this one in the next session. This entire fifth step we will talk about this in the next session. For time being, if you want to do some customization of accelerators or extensions, that means what? You want to create one more extension. You want to customize the extension. Okay, then you are going to use something called ModuleGen and EXTGen tools. These are optional. That's why I'm not doing right now. But for customizing accelerator or extensions, you are going to use these tools. Okay. Now, if you want to start the e-commerce, Hybris e-commerce, you must do two things. First one is you need to build it. You need to initialize it. Now the question, why do I need to do the build? If you look at here, you take any recipe, you take any B2C, B2B, all these things, it comes with a set of extensions. So when you do the build, okay, all these reference components are integrated. That is the first point. Then, so you also have properties files, configuration files. These runtime files, configuration files are created. If there are any runtime files, configuration files, those are created. Those are validated. So what build do exactly? So it references the components. All referenced components are integrated. Then runtime files and configurations created and validated. And it do some compilation for service layers and other components. That is the reason we are going to do the build. Now, to do the build, we need to use some tools like Ant tool, Maven tool and all. In this exercise, I am going to use Ant tool. So what exactly the Ant? Tool for automating the software build process. That means if you want to automate the build process, you can use the Ant. Please remember, Hybris comes with predefined Ant. You no need to worry, you no need to install. It contains bundled Apache Ant. It contains bundled Apache Ant. That's it. So I need to set up the Apache Ant. So if you want to set up the Apache Ant, so you need to go to the platform. So let me go to the command prompt. cd hybris, cd bin, cd platform. Now you need to enter this command. Setup. Okay, that's all. Now Ant path is set up. Once that is done, then you need to build the e-commerce. To build the e-commerce, again we are going to use the Ant tool. Ant is having set of targets like all, clean, ModuleGen, EXTGen, initialize, like that. Okay, we will understand these things one by one. But right now I am going to use Ant clean all. This is one of the target. Okay, so now what I am trying to do, Ant clean all. It is going to take a few minutes. I just click on this one. See here. So for build the Hybris, for build the e-commerce, you can use Ant clean all, or you can also use Ant all. Please remember this. For build Hybris e-commerce, you can use, there are two ways. You can use Ant clean all, or you can use Ant all. Right now I am using Ant clean all. So now the question is, most of the interviewers are asking, what is the difference between ant clean all and ant all? Okay, so let's understand. If you are using ant clean all, it do two things. What are the two things? If you look at here. Okay, so inside the bin, initially we were having only one folder, right? After that, there are folders created. Now, if I use ant clean all, it checks the required folders. That means it checks these 5 folders are there or not. If there, please see this. If available, it keeps creating those folders. If these folders are not available, then it creates the folders. That is the first step. Please see this. In case of ant clean all, it checks these folders are available or not. If not, it creates those. If yes, then it keeps creating the folders. That is the first step. Second step, it checks for the build. That means this Java classes, okay, dot classes, Java, all these files. It checks the build. If build is there, it delete and recreate it again. If there is no build, then it creates the build from the scratch. That's what it is doing now. That's why it is taking the time. Okay, let's say if you are using ant all, just ant all. If you are using the ant all instead of ant clean all, it's a lazy one. The first thing is that it assumes that folder is already available. It by default assumes folders are available. It don't check whether these folders are available or not. It assumes the folders are already available, and it can directly go to the second step. Okay, so now it checks for the build. If build is already available, then it just modifies it. If you see here, if build is already available, then it delete and recreate. But in case of ant all, if build is already there, then it just go and modifies it. That's the difference. It skips the first step, and if build is already available, it just go and modifies it. If build is not available, then it create from scratch. That's the difference between ant clean all and ant all. Most of the interviewers are asking this question. Please remember this. Now the next question is, this ant clean all still going on. Let it go. Before that, we can understand one more question. The next question is, when to use ant clean all, when to use ant all. If you are doing first time setup, so right now I am doing first time setup, right? If you are doing first time setup, then go for ant clean all. Or let's say you have done some changes and that changes are not reflecting even after doing ant all, then go for ant clean all. Two situations. Okay, when to go for ant clean all? Two situations. When you are doing first time setup, then go for ant clean all. Or let's say you did some changes, you applied ant all, but still changes are not reflecting, then go for ant clean all. That's it. So that's about the build process. So for building this Hybris e-commerce, we have two options, ant clean all and ant all. I told you when to use what. Okay. Once build process is successful, right now still build process is going on. Okay. Once it is going to take close to 4 minutes. Let it be. Once this is successful, that means one build is over. The next step is set up or change the functional range. What does it mean? The meaning is, if you look at here, B2C is coming with so many functionalities. Do you need all these functionalities? If you need it, leave it. If you don't want it, you can remove some of the things. If you want to add some more, you can add now. See, build is successful. It took 5 minutes, okay? Build is successful now. Once a build is successful, the next step is what? Set up or change the functionality. or functional range. What does it mean? If you see here, B2C e-commerce, it is having lot of functionalities. B2B e-commerce, it is having lot of functionalities. It is having lot of functionalities. Do I need all these things? If yes, just leave it. If you don't need some of the things, you can remove it. If you want to add some more things, you can add it. So where we can do all these things, you can do inside the local.xml. Sorry, local extensions.xml. Local extensions.xml. Here you can do. That is what the meaning of change the functional range. The one more point is configure extensions in the properties file. So if you look at here, this is a properties file, local.properties file. So you can configure some of the properties here if you want. That kind of changes you can do it right now. But I don't want to do any changes. This is the optional one. I don't have much changes right now. So I'm just leaving this step. Next one. Set up CIS, Commerce Infrastructure Service. What is this meaning? This CIS provides set of RESTful interfaces, set of web applications that provides RESTful interfaces to talk to the third-party services. That means, let's say I want to talk to third-party services. If you want to talk to third-party services, some interfaces are required. That interfaces this provides. Therefore, CIS provides RESTful interfaces for accessing third-party services. Each service will have its own business functionality. Let's say you want to talk to you want to use shipping, then you have one service. You want to do tax calculation, you have one service. You want to fraud detection, you have one service like that. But I don't want anything right now, so I'm just leaving this step. Next, provide custom database configuration. Hybris by default comes with the HSQL DB. If you don't want this and you want to point to Oracle or MySQL or HANA DB, then do that change right now. Where can we do that change? You can do it in the local.properties file. So if you go here, let me show you. Go to the bin. Right now it is pointing to the, go to the bin and go to the project.properties. Go to the bin platform project.properties. See, right now it is pointing to the HSQL DB. Right now it is pointing to the HSQL DB. If you don't want to point to the HSQL DB, go to the local.properties, paste that logic, and you want to point to Oracle. So just specify the Oracle related. Just specify the Oracle related driver and so on, so on. That's it. Okay, so that's about this step. Next one, application server. By default, Hybris comes with the Hybris server, which is based on Apache Tomcat. If you don't want Hybris server and you want to use some WebLogic server, then do that configuration changes now. Where can we do that changes? Again, you will be doing it in the local properties file. Local.properties file, which is available in the config. That's it. I don't want to do anything. I just want to go with the default DB. I just want to go with the default Hybris server. Okay. So once everything is ready, my database is ready, my server is ready, my Hybris is ready, all the things are ready. Now what is pending? You need to start the server. How do I start the server? If you want to start the server, Hybris server.bat. If it is Windows, if it is Linux, then you are going to use Hybris server.sh. Okay, so we are starting the server. If we are starting the server, we should stop the server. Please remember this. Don't simply close by using the close button. That is wrong. Because of the reason is, if you are closing with this close button, then some services or some processes or threads internally running and those still continues. So it's always you need to shut down the server. How do we shut down the server? press Ctrl C here. If you press Ctrl C in this command prompt, then this Hybris server will be shut down. Please remember this point carefully. Okay, so you started the server. It is your responsibility to stop the server. Don't stop by using close button. If you stop by using close button, some processes or threads still will be running and using the memory. It's always your responsibility to press Ctrl C in this command prompt. That is how you can stop the server. That's it. So now Hybris server is starting. It is going to take 4 to 5 minutes. Let's this get run. Okay, so I'm just waiting for the Hybris server to start. Okay, now you can see the server is started. So it took almost close to 4 minutes. Okay, and this server is running at 9001. So I can go and hit the 9001 with the localhost, HTTP localhost 9001. Okay, now you will get this screen. So if you look at one of the point what we discussed, to start the Hybris, we need to do two things. First one is build. Build is over. Now second one is initialization. Okay, now if you see the screen now, you are getting the option for initialization. Okay, so therefore once a server is started successfully first time, you need to do the initialization. Why do we need to do the initialization? During the initialization process, database tables, system types, and some mandatory data is created. I'll show you clearly what does it mean. Try to observe. Okay, let me go to the data. As I told you, HSQL is the default DB. Now if you see here, do I have any, okay, let me open the MyDB. Try to observe here. So what is the size of this one? It is very less. This is a log file. Entries are very less. Okay, now go and see the script file or okay, many other files. Okay, dump, nothing is there. Okay, here also less files are there. You can see the sizes, all these things. Let me take this print screen and put it in the notepad. You will see the difference clearly. I just put it here. Okay, this is before initialization. Try to observe the sizes before initialization. Okay, try to observe the sizes of this files. It's very less. Now, okay, why do we need to do the initialization? I already answered you. This initialization, during the initialization, database tables will be created. Where it will create? In the HSQL DB. Some type systems will be created and some mandatory data will be created. So I'll show you what is the meaning of mandatory data. Okay, so if you want to, now the question is, how do we do the initialization? If you want to do the initialization, go to the HSE, this is called the HSE, and do the initialize. Hybris administrative console, do the initialize. Or you can also do the initialization using ant initialize. Or you can also do the initialization using ant initialize. So right now I am going with the HSE. Go to the HSE, click on initialize. Okay, so you can see this one. This initialization process will take close to 1 hour. Okay, because of the reason is it is going to create all the tables, mandatory data, all these things. During this initialization, you should not do 3 things. Now initialization is going on. You should not do 3 things. First thing is that don't close this. Don't close this. And don't stop the server. Third thing is that don't make your system go on sleep. If anything happens, then the initialization may go wrong. So therefore, don't do 3 things. One is don't close this browser, don't go the machine go sleeping mode, don't stop the server. These 3 things are mandatory. Okay, so now initialization is going on. It will take close to 1 hour. Let this go. Sorry, this is the one. It's creating, see, it is creating the schema and type systems. Now you can go and observe the size. See, this size is increased. Previously, what is the size? If you see here, it was only 4 KB. Now it's increasing. That means what? It is doing something. It is creating the schemas. It is creating the table. It is creating the mandatory data. And previously how many files are there? 4 files are there. Now it is 5 files. One more is added. You can see right now it is 12. I'll just refresh. See, this is also increased. MyDB. That means it is doing the data. It is creating the data. It is creating the schema. It is creating the files. So on, so on, so. Okay. So once installation is completed, you need to do. Okay. So let's wait for the installation. It takes close to 1 hour. Okay. I'm just passing this. Okay. Now you can see the installation is completed. During the initialization, it created the essential data, it created the schemas. You can see many things. That's what I told you. It created the projects and so on, so on, so finally, so it took less time because I did not select some of the accelerators. Like we have many accelerators here or many recipes like installer recipes. These are the recipes. I just selected B2B and B2C. So if you go with the B2B underscore ACC underscore plus, next B2C underscore ACC underscore plus, then it will take more amount of time. As I just selected 2 recipes, so it took close to 10 minutes. So if you select more recipes, then it is going to take more time. So click on continue. That's it. So this is called HAC. So your installation is completed now. Now how do I know that, okay, Hybris 6.2 version is installed? So you can go to the platform, see the extensions. So if you see, all the extensions are 6.2. Okay. Now how do I know different cockpits? So http://localhost, go to MCC. And if you look at here, admin NIMDA is the password. Admin NIMDA is the password. Hit enter. See, this is called multi-channel cockpit. From here you can go to the web content management, service cockpit, all these things. Please remember this. If you see here, when I hit the multi-channel cockpit MCC, it is asking me the credentials. It is asking me the credentials. Look at here. Okay, or if I go to the web content management, so it is asking me the credentials. Till now I did not create any users. So then how these are coming? These are coming because of that initialization. If you see here, during initialization, tables are created, system is created, and some mandatory data is created. So that means during initialization, there will be user table created. Inside that some rows are there. Those rows data we are using it for logging purpose. So I'm just trying to log into WCMS cockpit. So this is the WCMS cockpit. That means your installation is successful. One more point. If you look at here, there are default some web stores or storefronts. If you look at here, these are the storefronts. Okay, so if you want to use these storefronts, then you can try to install this B2B underscore ACC plus, B2B underscore ACC plus. Then you will get the storefronts. For this, you just open the host file and add these entries. So this is not mandatory step, but if you have any challenges, then you can add these entries. So on the conclusion side, to get these storefronts, try to install this B2B ACC plus, B2C ACC plus if you want storefronts. If you don't want, and if you just want to use this functionality, then you can go ahead and use this functionality. That's all about. So let me recap all those things once. First thing, you are going to have such system requirements, download the Hybris, then download the Java and set the path. Next, set up the recipes. So there are so many recipes, B2C, B2B and all. If you want the storefronts, then go and install this thing and this thing. Okay, so for the installation we are going to use installer. So you can find the information in these locations. Once that is done, then you are going to do some, if you want to do some customization of accelerators or extensions, then you are going to use module gen or XTgen tools. Right now I don't want to do anything. Then to start the Hybris, you need to build it, initialize it. What is the purpose of build? We already discussed. How do we build? Using ant clean all. So there is also ant all. We have discussed the differences. Then you can specify the functional range, CSI. Okay, if you want to change the database, do it. If you want to change the application server, do it. Else you can start the server. Once you start the server, you can do the initialization. You can also do the initialization using ant command. Once initialization is ready, then you can use the HAC or MCC to see the functionalities. This is HAC. Sorry, this is HAC, this is MCC, and this is WCMS cockpit. That's all. So if you want the store friends, all these things, then you can go ahead and install the additional recipes. That's all about. Thank you very much for your time. Bye.